Hi, everyone, and thanks very much for inviting me to speak about a topic that is really close to my heart. So I'm going to speak briefly about Egyptian women and the 2011 revolution, but I will start with the present moment. And as we celebrate International Women's Day this week, I want to pay tribute and voice my solidarity with the brave Egyptian women who are in political detention at the present time. They are being detained only because they dare to speak up against injustice and the lack of freedom of expression in Egypt. Some of these women, like lawyer Mahinor El-Masri and political activist Sana Saif, were very active during the 2011 revolution and the aftermath. They were imprisoned multiple times, then released, only to be arrested once again due to their solidarity with fellow political detainees. Mahinor El-Masri and Sana Saif are not the only ones, but there are hundreds of women political detainees in Egyptian prisons, young mothers and daughters who were taken from their homes and locked behind bars without trial. They are being subjected to temporary detention, which is a system invented by the Egyptian Ministry of Interior to legitimize the jailing of detainees for 2 years without having to grant them the right for a just trial. These women detainees have left behind their sons and daughters, as well as their mothers and fathers who continue to pursue every means possible in the Egyptian legal system to free their loved ones. I want to express full solidarity with these families who are passing through one of the toughest times ever because their loved ones are imprisoned without trials and without charges in the middle of a pandemic, which adds to their suffering and duress. Since the moment of the 2011 revolution, we have seen hundreds of thousands of women on the streets across Egypt taking an active part in bringing down the regime of Hosni Mubarak and calling for a civilian, not a military state in Egypt. The participation of women with such enormous numbers in revolutionary change has been one of the major achievements of the revolution, in my view. The diverse organizations, mobilization efforts, and coalitions that women formed during and after the revolution have opened crucial debates in the society about gender equality, domestic violence against women, harassment and verbal abuse on the streets against women, sexual harassment, which a lot of women in Egypt suffer from in silence, the freedom to choose one's gender, and many other issues which were not discussed so openly and courageously before the revolution. So my point here is that the 2011 revolution provided Egyptian women with the historical opportunity to advance their demands against their oppressors. These oppressors being the patriarchal structures, class divisions, the police state, domestic violence, and many others. Nowadays, women talk far more freely and openly about their experiences of sexual harassment and domestic abuse in a way which has never existed in Egyptian society before. However, it is also important to remember that the moment of the uprising on 25th January 2011 did not come from nowhere, but indeed had years of rehearsal preceding it. Throughout these struggles prior to 2011, women from all social and educational backgrounds were at the heart. For example, women played a leading role in the Mahalla textile workers' strikes in 2006 and 2008, and in the famous tax collectors' strike in 2009. Women from the Kifaya, or Enough, Movement for Change, the 6 April Group, the Revolutionary Socialists, feminist organizations and other human rights groups mobilized and organized for demonstrations on the streets across the country, demanding social justice and an end to the emergency law, which was in force since Hosni Mubarak came to power in 1981. Not only political activists, but also women artists, journalists, writers, lawyers, and many others called for and organized demonstrations to demand freedom of expression and human dignity in a society marred by class divisions, deep social corruption. So the huge cultural output since 2011 also attests to this revolutionary dynamic. In addition to taking part and producing a new vibrant cultural scene in various spheres like music and theater and cinema, literature, graffiti art, media programs, photography, and others, the initiatives taken by women in founding political and cultural campaigns such as Musirreen, or We Are Determined, Kazibun, Liars, No to Military Trials for Civilians, Freedom for the Brave, and Harassment, only to name a few, have spread out in many Egyptian governorates, not only the urban centers. And I think this is important to remember that this amazing political dynamic and mobilization for change happened across Egypt, not only in the urban centers. I will leave in the chat column two links to very interesting short films which are entitled Words of Women from the Egyptian Revolution. They were made in 2011 and 2012, where you will see Mahinor al-Masri and Sana Saif, whom I mentioned at the start of my talk, and who remain behind bars as we speak. So thanks very much, and yeah, we'll speak further later. Thank you.